Welcome back, guys, to another video. This video is going to be slightly different. It's not an unboxing video, it's just me showing you guys how to clean some of your PlayStation 4 Slim consoles. I know there's some people that have um, consoles that sound like jets and so on like that, and that's normal for the console to be like that, and that is because there is a lot of dust what's in the fans, or what's packed onto the fans, or what's close to the um, what is that thing called, um, the radiator, or not the radiator, the heatsink. Yeah, the heatsink. So a lot of times with the PS4 Pro and the Slim, um, some of the consoles do sound super loud, even the older generation. You will see it on the sides. I will show how my console look like, but it doesn't look as dirty and dusty as most other consoles because I service my console. And that's again another thing. Most people, they buy consoles, and then that goes also for Xbox and PlayStation, Nintendo, and so on. If you don't service or clean your console, I'm not sure about the Nintendo, but the Xbox and the PlayStation, if you don't clean it, and maybe the PlayStation or the Xbox has a very loud fan, what you can hear, that your fan is going super loud when you play certain games, or when you just um, playing any game and you hear your fan going, that might be because you have a lot of dust in your console. And if you have a second-hand console, that might be the reason why. Some people do the extreme way of cleaning the inside and thermal pasting the thing. Most of the time people do that with the Pro, the PlayStation 4 Pro, um, and sometimes with the PlayStation 4 Slimline. I'm not sure about the Xbox and the Xbox range. I haven't played on the Xbox or played a game on the channel with the Xbox. But with the PlayStation 4 Slim, there was times where I think my fan was a little bit loud, but it wasn't that loud. And I just opened up the console and cleaned the fans, and the heatsink I cleaned also out. There is some parts where you can't get, where you basically have to strip the whole console apart. I'm not going to be stripping my whole console apart because I have done that part and I have cleaned, but I haven't done it on camera. But I just want to show you guys like the easy way of cleaning your console. So I will show you guys how I do mine. Some consoles, it will be more dirty than others, and some isn't as dirty because maybe it's still very new. Some people maybe clean the consoles because it is actually maintenance, or maintaining your consoles airflow, because good airflow, console don't get hot, and so on. And it doesn't pack on so much dirt, because if you think about it, most of the consoles what we have it for 4 years, 5 years, some even longer than that. Some people stick to one console until the console break, and then they go buy them a new one, or maybe there isn't a new console yet what's out, then they just buy another one. Second-hand consoles is kind of good, but it's also not as good, depending on where you're buying, who you're buying it from. Some people look after their stuff, some people don't look after the stuff, and maybe you look after your stuff, or maybe you want to buy a second-hand console, then you have that issues where you're not sure how the next person look after the console. But you can also tell if there's like a lot of dust, because some people would have like pets close by, or have more dust in the console, or if they have carpet or mat, that will also cause a lot of dust to build up into your console. The best thing is to keep your console on a high platform, so on a table or on a cupboard, with a lot of airflow going in, just so that when the airflow goes in by the one side, goes out by the back, it's not struggling or picking up like dust from the carpet or from the pets what's running around. So that's dogs, cats, and so on. Some people have other pets or they have fur and so on. So just like PCs, PC users normally clean their PCs with airflow, can air, and so on. If you can get can air, do that. Get that can air, get the cleaning materials. I will show you guys all the materials that I'm going to be using. So yeah, in the next few seconds. Okay guys, so as you guys can see, my console is quite dirty. So the things that I'm going to be needing for cleaning my console is shot glass, that's just to keep the liquid in, and some rubbing alcohol. You can use hand cleaner, but the evaporation of the liquid might take longer than usual, so I'm using this Dis-Chem brand. No, this is not a sponsored advert or sponsored video, so if you are wondering if it is, it isn't. So I'm using rubbing alcohol 91%. It's best to take the clear looking one, which is like, it looks clear-ish, so there's no blue effect to it, and this is to keep some of the liquid, so I'm not going to be using all of it, just a tiny bit. I'm going to be using some buds, so this is just the normal type of earbud cleaner, no fancy type of earbud cleaner. If you're all wondering, that's this type. So and again, none of this stuff is sponsored, but if you're wondering, is it a sponsored video? It's not. I'm going to be using a toothbrush, some old toothbrush that I found, but make sure that the toothbrush is clean, a paintbrush, a tool kit, which I might be using, I might not be using, depending on what I'm gonna find inside here, because PlayStation use certain keys or certain tools or screws, so that not everyone can be able to open it. You can have that as a heads up, should I say. Then there is my toolkit, what I use for most things what I open, especially things what I don't want to break or so. And there's a few kits inside. Open it up. You can get this toolkit by Midas or by a hardware shop, except for this thing. This is just a guitar pick that I like using for things. So that's all what you get in, except for that plastic there what I placed in there. But yeah, and some toothpicks. I don't know what you guys call this in other places. It's a normal toothpick. What I'll need, I'll just take one toothpick. So some cleaning, shot glass, and a bud with, okay, I'm just gonna be using just some bag cloth that I normally keep close by for cleaning stuff, but you can use a microfiber cloth which will work way better. And as you guys can see, it is very dusty. If I just, it's very dusty, so let's get to the cleaning. The rubbing alcohol what I use, it's 91%, but if you can find one what's more better than 91% rubbing alcohol, go for that one. If it says 99% rubbing alcohol, go for that one, because you don't want any liquids to be still lingering in your console, and you don't want that to be like moving around. You want every liquid what you use to evaporate, which will help your console way better than most other liquids. So use it if you if you can't find those 91 or 90% rubbing alcohol, you can use hand cleaner or hand sanitizer, but it must be a high alcohol inside. It can evaporate. You can use a vacuum, but with your vacuum there's different vacuums, so if you can put it on the least suction or the least amount of suction so it doesn't suck everything out, just the stuff what it needs to, like dust, that would be cool. You can use a brush, you can use that, but make sure that your console is not plugged in anywhere, and your console must be off when you're doing this. There's a lot of times where people get that wrong, or they leave it still plugged in. Make sure that there's no power running in your console, because you are going to be cleaning your console. Clean all the vents what you can, and yeah. I'm just putting all the stuff aside. Yes, my console does look different compared to maybe some others, because I've got a extra USB port or USB hub, as you guys can see, and this is because I want to have that extra USBs, because when I take the hub off, it doesn't want to come off. And one thing when you do clean your console, okay, so it looks like this. This is only for the Slimline. The Pro has one also, but it's different. And then there's two USBs, one white, one blue. So I'll just put this on this side. And now it looks like the usual PlayStation 4 Slim. So this is just going to be a small clean. This is not going to be the super clean thermal paste type of cleaning. So I'm just going to wipe this down. If you have your toothbrush or a paintbrush, just clean that out. Just there. Clean that. Clean that down. So that is clean. I'm not doing a super clean type of clean because it's gonna get dusty again. So this is clean. I'm just placing this on a safe place. And again, be careful when you are doing those things because you don't want your USBs to break. So I'm just gonna put that all. If you have like a stain solution, like if you put maybe some rubbing alcohol into a spray bottle and you spray it on here, it will clean much better. But that's just for the top part. So this is where I use the paintbrush and I just like that. So as you guys can see, there is the indent with the USB hub goes in. I'll just use a cloth, wipe it, and it's all gone. the sides. So a lot of times when you want to know if your console has a lot of dust, you can tell from the sides. So there's a lot of vents going on the side, and as you guys can see, not much dust going on. So this side I'm gonna just wipe down using the paintbrush. And again, as you guys can see, there's not much dust going on at the back because I keep my console very clean as much as I can. And don't worry if some dust go on the inside, it will just shoot the dust out afterwards. But if you have canned air, use the canned air to get as much dust out of your console. But this is not a professional cleaning, so this is not some sponsored or some high-tech video where I strip down the whole console completely. It's just the top part. And again, as you guys can see, not so dusty. At this point you will see the dust coming out of your console, but it's not so dusty. Now I'm gonna put it down to get that maximum dust out. So again, all clean. So some people will be leaving it, okay, they left their console just like that, and they take it as clean, or they use a vacuum and they just vacuum it out on the sides and so on like that, and then they leave it just so. So that can work. There's nothing wrong with doing that, because some people would want to have that as just the cleaning. But then you get the unique type of people where they go a little bit further. They open the console and they start taking it apart, which is a good thing, but you're also doing it on your own risk also. So there's no screws on the top, so when you do take it apart, which is the top part, grab from this point over here where the Sony PlayStation logo is, on that end and on this end. So there is the PS4 logo and the Sony logo. So I'm just gonna lift from this side, and as you guys can hear, there's a little crack opening, and as you guys could hear, and then just slightly in the center, and then don't just pull up, slide this way. So slide, and there you go. Top part is off. As you guys can see, that is where the dust sits, so it's more on this side. So that is where the PlayStation is. So I need to get that dust away. So when you do clean your system, make sure that you don't rub hard on the edges, because there is teeth or nubbins or clips what you can see on all around the cover. So that is to keep your console's cover always on. So just make sure that you are very careful when you're doing that. So I'm gonna get this dust out. So it's not going to be 100% clean, but it's clean enough so that the fans won't be damping and screaming like it's a jet. And it's also good to keep your console clean. It take some time, so some people will be like, you don't need to do it. Yeah, you're more than welcome not to do it. But if you take it as like a car, if you don't service your car, or if you don't service your motorbike, it's not gonna react how it should react. So if you keep it clean, it will work. Well, it will work much better than most vehicles. So now that is looking clean for me. I'm not gonna be overdoing it with the cleaning. There's the bud, the shot glass. I just use a tiny bit, so tiny bit of rubbing alcohol on the bud, and as you guys can see, it's a little dust pulled up. Time to get that away. Again, this is not like a professional cleaning. There is some professional cleaners that do way more better things than what I do, but that looks clean enough for me. So again, I'll use the same bud to clean the edges of the console. So the more better you clean your console, the more better it will work, and it won't be working like a jet engine. And the reason why I'm saying jet engine, because I know some of you guys are using your consoles and you're wondering why is it so loud. You can't hear the game, and that is why, because it's all dirty and it's filled with dust, and that's over years and years of playing games and just vacuuming the sides and so on. So I'm going to place this one side. So again, let me show you guys. There is like slits on the sides, so if you can clean that part out, all that, go for it. I normally use a bud because it's gonna go nicely in between. If you do have a fine brush, that will work way better than what I'm doing now. I'm not double dipping, as you guys can see, but looks kind of clean, but it's also dirty, and that's just taking off some of the dust out. It doesn't just like fall in the console. Again, using the other side, just a light dip. If you guys can find the button buds or earbuds, depending on what you guys call it, if you guys can find the one with a long tip on the end, that ones will work way better than the usual ones. And again, it's good to do this every now and then. Don't do it every month or every second week. Just do it now and then. I'm not saying go do it now because you didn't do it properly or you didn't do it like this, but if you do this, it's not gonna hurt the console. Just be very careful and just pull gently on the edges. Don't have to go Hulk on your console because PlayStation don't really want you to do that, so they make this lips weird breaks. And there's a couple of teardowns what you can do. So that is done. I'm just gonna go with a brush, edges. So normally there would be a little bit of dust on this plate. This is a plate, yes. But there's no dust on my one because I have done a cleaning of this. There is screws, what you will find, a black one, a few silver screws, and you have to either take a photo of where all the screws are placed, or you can just place it like in a circle and then start from that same point and work your way around. If there's screws what's like this, place it, or if you place the circle of screws and you place the two screws what's in the center, in the middle you won't have to have a pattern or so to remember. So basically just make sure that you place it on a safe place where you don't know, well, where you know you're not going to move it around or so. So that is something what I normally do. So again, like I said, you're gonna need a screwdriver, a star, or a Phillips, depending on what you guys call it. I'm using this Phillips. This one. A smaller star or Phillips. So this on the toolkit it says E10 or pH. Well, okay, that's actually pH 00. Let me just move this closer. So it says there pH 00. So it's this one. You can use a precision set of screws. I don't have a precision set of screws or set of screws, so I will have to look for that another time. But as I said, if you don't want to take photos and you know you maybe will forget where all the screws lay, because there is quite a bit of screws you have to take out. I don't know if you guys can see all that screws. And then there's a plate. So I would do, and I always do it when I'm taking screws out of electronics, I'll do the pattern, circle pattern, and if there is screws what's there, I'll just take take the two what's in the middle, or the three what's in the middle, I'll place it exactly like how I take the console part or the electronic in your part. So there's a black screw on this end, so I'm taking that out. And I'm also not applying too much pressure, because applying too much pressure will be bad. So there's no sequence for this. Some people have a sequence to it. There's no real sequence to it. And if you are making a video of this so that you guys can see where you place the screws, you can do that. That's also another way. Another one. Again, not too much force to open it, just lightly open. So yeah, we start off with one of those special screws with PlayStation place, and there is 3 of them, what I can see so far. So there's one over there and one over there. Over this end, there where the silver thing is. So there's one on this side also. And that is a T8. So it is a T8. And it has that holes. As I was saying, that you'll need a T8, so you must have a tool to keep this. So what I'm going to use is you can use a ratchet also, but I'm going to use this with a toolkit that goes on. And then take that out, place it, but because it's not magnetic, I'm gonna put a small piece of plastic, maybe double wrap it, and as you guys can see, it does this T8 on there. So I'm gonna double wrap it, but can fit more snug into this gap, so it doesn't just pop out and fall around. So there you can see plastic. It would be cool to use a magnetic one, but I'm not going to be using a magnetic one. So this screw is quite long. It's not as short as this one compared to that one. And this is where the toothpick comes in handy. It's just to lift that up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this metal plate, place it one side so it doesn't damage or bend. That thing, very important. PlayStation 4. So, as you guys can see, this is the battery part over here. So I'm just gonna continue unscrewing everything. This is the antenna. Just gonna the Wi-Fi antenna. This in, taking that out. Just like slide it gently to you, just this way. And move it this way. So if this is the antenna part, move it this way to you. It's not necessary to do it, but I normally do it. Get back to the unscrewing part. Center one. The center one. And the last one on this side. Okay, so all the screws is taken out. To get this plate, you can just lift this seam here where the battery is slightly, or you can open the underpart. I'm not gonna do the opening of the underpart. I'm just gonna slightly, not a lot of force, just slightly, just so this has a gap. So right now there is no gap there. There is no gap for the PS4's battery, so this is the battery part. There is no gap. Okay, so there is a gap now. As you guys can see, there's a gap and a gap on this side. Just be careful when you do that. You don't want to crack it or break it. It's just to get this plate out. So once there's that gap space, as you guys can see, there's no gap. This goes in all the way down. So make sure that you just take it carefully. Again, take that part. As you pry and open like that, be very careful. If you want to go the safer route, you can take the bottom part loose, and you can do it also like that. Then you unscrew the battery part, but there's a lot of wires and stuff what's going on. But my best suggestion is just to be gentle. You will feel that it will like crack open tiny bit, but it mustn't crack too far. So that's just a slight lift of the battery. There is a metal part on this side. So this is just to remove the plate. So as you guys can see, there's not much dust going on over this side. On this side, this looks like it could be dust. Is it? No, it's just the heatsink. So I'm just gonna clean that part off if there's any dust. I'm just gonna use the cloth or a microfiber cloth and just dust it. Again, it's good to keep your console as clean as possible. So I'm placing this thing one side. So this is where most of the dust sits. So there's no CD what's in. This is where most of the dust sits for the fan, and that needs to be cleaned out. So as you guys can see, a lot of the dust normally sits over here and on the other side. So this side you can use a toothpick and just lift it out with your microfiber cloth. Lift it out and then push the dust one side or where you dusting it, and then you can use a brush and just brush it up so that there's no dust would sitting there. You can use a vacuum to vacuum this out, but just be careful when you're using a vacuum, because a vacuum you get different types of vacuums, and this is what I was talking about. There's a small silver thing what can get missing. You can vacuum it up by mistake. Don't vacuum that up. This is also to do with the console to work, so make sure that this is there and don't lose it. So my console is not as dirty as some other consoles out there, because I do this maintenance clean once every 3 months, once every 4 months. That's fine. So again, I still got my rubbing alcohol in there, and the same bud I'll use again just to clean out the edges. The round part makes the curve is that. Just clean all that. And as you guys can see, it's getting more dirty and dirty. So you guys might have a much cleaner system, might be so dusty that you'll be questioning, like, is the things clean when you get it? Most of the time that is clean. Use the other side to dry it, so it's perfectly dry. And again, if you do have the earbuds which have that longer end to it, that would work really nice on places where it's difficult to reach. Q-tips, some people call it. Some people call it just earbuds. Depends on where you're staying. So that is how that looks. Here's the other one. So because I can't get in with brush, that brush, paintbrush, or the toothbrush there, I'll use a Q-tip or earbud. So I'll get in the grooves with the earbud. But my neck to it, because I don't have that a little extra extend to it, I'll pinch the end of the earbud and just move it like that, keep it so it does that. So just keep it a little bit, so it's a little bit longer, but it has that movement to it. I won't do it on the other side, but that's just to get in between the blades of the PlayStation fan. I know this video can be shorter, but I'm not going to make it as short as that. And I want you guys to know that it's important to keep your fans of your PlayStation clean and clear. I'm just gonna do like a few, and you guys tell me, does it look different or does it look the same? Because on my point, I see it looks way cleaner. I'm gonna do 3 blades. on the other side, I'll just glide. So that is how the earbud look, and that is how the other side look. So I'm just gonna place that one side, and you guys can tell that one side is more cleaner than the other side. So if I hold it more that way, you guys can see what side is dirty side and what side is not the dirty. So the blades on this side is the clean ones compared to the blades on the other. So it's gonna take some time. I'm not gonna show you guys the whole process of that. I am going to clean it out completely and I'll show you guys how it looks. Okay, so I've cleaned the blades, well, all of the blades, and it's not that dusty. Just the top part what I need to do. Yeah, and again, if you do clean your PlayStation, make sure you're not overweighting the earbud. I'm going to clean this part of it. I'm also not sure if this also gives a little bit cooling. And I'm also letting the fan not spin too much, but I'm just keeping it like that, not moving any pressure down. I'm just keeping it so it doesn't move around. Other times when you do that, it can cause static, or it can mess up the fan how it's supposed to be moving, so there's no pressure on the thing when you keep in there, so it will still have this movement. Alright. That's not 100% clean. So there's that. And again, this is just a simple cleaning. It's not a massive cleaning where you clean at the bottom and everywhere else. I'm just cleaning places where I can find the earbud to go. Because there might be airflow on that point. I won't need the toothpick because there's not much dirt here. But I'll do that like brushing your teeth. So basically do that, so you moving the brush upwards and downwards. Not much. And again, you don't want to damage your eating, which is this thing. If you do have canned air, you can blow the gaps and it will be even much better to use, because basically it's just canned air what's blowing. If you don't, that's also fine. You can use a vacuum all that pieces what's maybe coming loose, if there is any. Because normally the dirt sits over here and behind, so behind here and here. I don't have that amount of dirt what's in the console because I've been keeping it clean, but if you leave it for a year, it might get some dirt. It's not a lot of dirt what can go into the side vents on the side, but they can be a tiny bit, as you guys can see from how much dirt there was. I'm just going with the brush. Doesn't seem like there is anything. Using the same buds just to pick up the dirt. There is any. I was using. So I'm just trying to pick up as much dirt as possible, or dust, let's say. As you guys can see, the liquid that gets a little bit wet. There you guys. It looks more shiny on this side, and when I go over with a normal brush or with the dry part of the earbud, it will just dry it up. Not a lot of pressure. I also don't want the thing to damage. I'm gonna get as much dirt as possible. And make sure that there's no CD what's also in. That's also the thing. Some people leave CDs in. Don't leave CDs in the console. I mean, you can get it out, but I mean, don't leave it in. Not necessary to leave it in. Okay, so I'll take a dry earbud and just go over where and over. Placing that thing back. Metal screw, well, metal plate. Okay, so that's about it. And again, this is not a massive cleaning. PlayStation thing. I'm not going to do that just at this stage, but when I have to, I will, and I'll make a video then. But it's just a small cleaning so that your console don't sound like a jet. If it still sounds like a jet, you're gonna have to take this whole part, but you're gonna have to take the bottom part apart and then clean all the way. But when you do that, make sure that you have good thermal paste, or yeah, thermal paste. I use, what do I use? I normally use for PCs, I use Cryonot. That's a good thermal paste. But that's only if I really need to do that. Other than that, if you don't, just clean where you can. If it's still sounding like a jet and it's still super loud, then the vent of your heatsink is blocked and there's no airflow coming through. So that is the problem why most PlayStations sound like a jet and some Xboxes. Okay, that seems like it's good enough. Cleaned to the max. Seems like it's clean. So that's as far as go with the cleaning. This is a simple clean, not a difficult clean, and the console will work again. Yeah. So I'm gonna put everything back. And that's just the reverse way of doing everything. So I do now. Let's place the pad on. Okay. So there is a lip, what you find on the side, like a little lip. When you place this on, make sure that you place it back in place. So as you guys can see, it's in place. There was no screws which I had to take out. That down, that down. Put the Wi-Fi back. Okay, so with the screws, again, start from that point and work my way down all the way. There we go. So starting with the black one. And again, when you do tighten it, don't over tighten it, because there's a possibility where you're gonna have to go back in and clean it. So it doesn't seem like the screws is different sizes, but for me, probably have OCD or so. Like placing the screws back the original places. Again, don't over tighten it, just place it so it grips. And here's the one screw. What has that T10. What's it? T8 screw. Placing that back place. To wipe this. We do have a microfiber cloth. Here's a microfiber cloth. I don't have one on the end, so just going to wing it. So I'm just reverse placing everything. Not too tight. Place the screws all back. There's one screw over there. Screw over there. And the last one over there. So all the screws is all in. Anything that I'm missing? No. It takes not even as long as I'm taking with this video, but it's a few minutes and all set. So when you do place your PlayStation cover, first keep it on an angle like I'm doing this, and slide it in from the back part. So as you guys can see, everything is all in. Yes, I do have OCD, so I'll slide it completely to the back from this part. Just clip it down. Just like that. PlayStation 4 Slim is clean and ready for you to play new gen games or Assassin's Creed, any other game you want to play. As you guys can see, there is not much liquid in. That's because it was evaporating. If you like this video, if you were wondering why is a PlayStation 4 Slim or PlayStation 4 Slimline, yeah, should I say Slimline, because this is a Slimline one. has been being super loud, that is a quick way to fix that. Sometimes you have to go in depth with cleaning your PlayStation. I'm just gonna place my USB hub back on its place. I can find them. Yeah. Sometimes, yeah, as I was saying, sometimes your PlayStation 4 can be super loud. And you don't know why is it so loud. It's maybe because there's some dust by the heatsink and you need to get that dust out. You can use a vacuum as much as possible out, but like I said, when you use the brush, work your way up and down so you don't damage the heatsink. Don't do brushing like that, because brushing like that is not gonna fix your heatsink, it's gonna damage your heatsink. So go with the motion of how the teeth is. So if the teeth is like that, you brush upwards or downwards, but never cross like that. So if the heatsink is, say that's the heatsink, move it up like that. So up, down, up and down, or just up. Once the dust has been lifted up, you can move some part of the dust down and then you can vacuum it up, or you can use the vacuum and vacuum that up and then do the brushing. So it's all up to you, what do you feel comfortable with. But again, don't brush like that, just either up or down. Same with the paintbrush, you just move it up like that and then vacuum, or just vacuum and blow some air, is you can get by most computer shops, but a vacuum will work and suck up all the dust, and air and a vacuum can work together, can suck up the dust and the whatever's making the console actually heat up, because maybe there's still too many dust or so. But like and subscribe if you're new to the channel, and let me know if you have done some maintenance on your console, and maybe you have other attachments to your console. Maybe you have like a better stand for it, you have maybe extra features for your console. If you are new, like I said, if you're new, subscribe, click the bell button on channel, and you guys will know when I'll release a new video. But yeah, this is one long video, and yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I'm trying many things, trying different things, just to figure out on what angle should I be making videos. But yeah, like and subscribe, don't let anyone bring you down, always try and stay positive, and yeah, stay safe out there. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. You probably will see me playing a game but yeah, I'll see you guys. Cheers.